There is a discovery in Egypt that almost no one knows about. A discovery so disruptive that it was quietly sealed, dismissed, and buried beneath layers of denial. Rumors began circulating years ago about a second sphinx hidden beneath the sand. A structure nearly identical to the Great Sphinx of Giza, but far older and far more intact. At first, it sounded like a wild conspiracy, a story created for headlines. But the deeper you look, the more traces you find in ancient records. Satellite anomalies, unpublished excavation notes, and a sealed-off desert region that once held a massive stone guardian staring at the horizon. What happened to that second sphinx? Who built it? And why was it erased from history? The closer we get to the truth, the stranger the story becomes. The earliest hints of a second sphinx appear not in modern archaeology, but in ancient texts. Several inscriptions from the Old Kingdom mention the Watchers, guardians placed in pairs to protect sacred regions. Even Greek writers like Pliny the Elder wrote about sphinxes in the plural, suggesting that more than one existed in antiquity. For years, historians dismissed this language as metaphorical. Yet, in the 1800s, during Napoleon's survey of Egypt, a French cartographer recorded a massive stone formation partially buried southeast of the Great Sphinx. His sketch, ignored by mainstream academia, looks shockingly similar to the Sphinx profile we know today. And then the sketch disappeared from official archives. Over a century later, in the early 2000s, satellite imaging began to reveal something extraordinary. Beneath the dunes of a restricted military zone lay a symmetrical structure-elongated body, raised platform, and a head orientation similar to the Great Sphinx. The formation matched the proportions of a sphinx-like statue carved directly from bedrock. Despite this, Egypt's Antiquities Authority denied its existence, calling it a natural rock formation. But geologists who studied the images pointed out that natural formations do not have aligned axes, symmetrical flanks, or erosion patterns identical to carved structures. Something artificial was down there. In 2007, an anonymous individual leaked a set of photographs allegedly taken during a brief excavation attempt in the restricted zone. The photos showed a partially uncovered stone pour, almost identical in proportion to the Great Sphinxes, but smoother and far less eroded. If authentic, it meant this structure had been protected by sand for millennia, preserving its original form. The Great Sphinx is heavily weathered, its face damaged, its body eroded. But this newly discovered guardian seemed untouched by time, a sphinx frozen in its original state. Why hide such a discovery? The answer may lie in what the Sphinx represents. The Great Sphinx has always been a problem for Egyptology. Its erosion patterns suggest extreme age far older than the Pharaohs. Some studies claim the body shows signs of rainfall erosion from a climate that ended thousands of years before Egypt's first kings. If a second, better preserved Sphinx existed, it could confirm that the original Sphinx predates all of recorded Egyptian history. Such a revelation would shatter the traditional timeline and force a rewrite of human civilization. In 2015, ground-penetrating radar scans taken by a foreign team revealed a rectangular chamber directly beneath the anomaly. This chamber appeared to be carved with the same precision found in pre-dynastic megalithic structures. The radar image clearly showed straight walls, a flat base, and a vertical shaft leading downward. Beneath the second Sphinx, something was buried. When confronted with the images, officials dismissed them as misinterpretations, yet quietly reinforced military presence around the area. The timing of the cover-up is important. Around the same period, a restricted academic paper circulated among a small group of archaeology professors. The paper analyzed erosion layers on the suspected structure. The results were astonishing. The patterns matched rainfall erosion dating back at least 12,000 years. This aligns with the end of the last ice age. If the Second Sphinx truly dates to that era, then Egypt's history doesn't just need rewriting, it needs restarting from the beginning. Some researchers propose a bold theory. The original Sphinx was part of a pair, built by a lost civilization before the rise of dynastic Egypt, possibly serving as astronomical markers aligned with the constellation Leo. If the two sphinxes were aligned symmetrically, together they would represent a dual lion symbol common in ancient mythologies, one gazing east, the other west. Guardian twins, protectors of an ancient knowledge center long forgotten. But the most startling detail comes from an excavation report leaked by a worker who allegedly participated in the forbidden dig. According to the report, beneath the structure they found a sealed doorway carved with symbols not matching traditional hieroglyphs. The symbols were geometric, angular, and deeply etched. The door was untouched, sealed since its creation. The worker claimed the symbols resembled markings seen on artifacts from Göbekli Tepe, a site thousands of years older than Egyptian civilization. Could this suggest a connection between ancient cultures once thought unrelated? Were they part of a larger, global, prehistoric society? The worker's testimony also mentioned vibrations felt when touching the stone door, as if something resonated within it. This idea aligns with theories that ancient structures use sound resonance not as mythical energy devices, but as architectural features tied to rituals or communications. If the Second Sphinx housed such a chamber, it could have been a ceremonial or astronomical site unlike anything in modern Egyptology. And perhaps that is exactly why it was sealed and erased. A discovery too old, too complex, too advanced for the established narrative. What happened to the Second Sphinx after these reports? Satellite images from 2017 show heavy machinery tracks leading into the zone, followed by the disappearance of the anomaly beneath newly shaped dunes. It appears the structure was deliberately reburied, hidden again. The same fate that kept the Great Sphinx buried up to its neck for centuries may now conceal its twin. Despite the silence, a pattern is emerging. Ancient texts mentioning twin guardians, early sketches showing two sphinx-like shapes, satellite anomalies matching sphinx proportions, leaked photographs of an intact paw, a sealed chamber beneath the sand, an erosion dating back to the end of the Ice Age, piece by piece. The story points to one astonishing truth. The Great Sphinx may never have stood alone. If the Second Sphinx truly exists beneath the desert, intact and untouched, it holds answers to mysteries that stretch beyond Egypt. Who built these guardians? What were they watching? What lies beneath the sealed doorway? And why is so much effort being taken to hide it? History is full of discoveries that challenged the world, and many that were silently buried again. This may be one of them. If you want to continue exploring the hidden structures buried under the sands of Egypt, watch our next video where we uncover the truth behind the underground complex beneath the Great Pyramid and the strange chambers that modern scans can no longer deny.